Father's Day was supposed to be simple. Just pancakes in the morning, handmade cards covered in glitter, and maybe a quiet dinner before the week started again. That was all Ethan ever wanted. He never asked for expensive gifts or attention. He only wanted peace. But that year became the day our 5-year-old daughter asked a question that changed everything. "Mommy, why is Daddy crying?" And for the first time in 7 years of marriage, I didn't have an answer. The morning began with laughter. Our daughter Lily woke up before sunrise and climbed onto our bed with excitement bursting from her tiny body. "Wake up! Wake up! It's Daddy Day!" Ethan opened one eye and smiled weakly. "Daddy Day?" he asked. She nodded seriously. "Yes. Today everybody loves you extra." He laughed softly and pulled her into his arms. I watched them from the other side of the bed, feeling that familiar ache in my chest. Ethan had always loved Lily in a way that felt almost painful to witness. Like every hug carried fear. Like every laugh was something he worried might disappear. Sometimes I caught him staring at her while she colored or played with dolls. His eyes would become distant, almost sad. Whenever I asked what was wrong, he always said the same thing. "I'm just grateful." But gratitude didn't usually look like heartbreak. Lily spent the whole week preparing for Father's Day. At school, she made him a crooked paper tie covered in stickers. At home, she practiced reading a card by herself. "Dear Daddy," she read slowly the night before, "thank you for carrying me when I get sleepy and making scary thunderstorms go away." Ethan turned his face away after hearing that. I noticed it immediately. "You okay?" I whispered later. He nodded too quickly. "Yeah. Just tired." But that night, long after Lily fell asleep, I woke up and found his side of the bed empty. I walked quietly into the kitchen. He was sitting alone in darkness. Not drinking. Not watching television. Just sitting there. Crying silently. The kind of crying people do when they don't want anyone to save them. I froze near the hallway. Part of me wanted to run to him. Another part feared what I might discover if I asked too many questions. After a moment, he wiped his face and noticed me standing there. His expression changed instantly. He forced a smile. "Couldn't sleep," he said. I nodded slowly, pretending to believe him. Marriage teaches you something strange about love. Sometimes people lie not because they want to hurt you, but because they think the truth will. The next morning, Lily practically exploded with excitement. She dragged Ethan into the living room where she'd arranged crayons, balloons, and burnt toast on a tray. Breakfast for the best daddy in the whole universe. Ethan laughed genuinely this time. The whole universe? That's serious competition. "You win," she declared proudly. He hugged her tightly. Too tightly. As if he was afraid to let go. During breakfast, Lily climbed into his lap and handed him her card. He opened it carefully. Inside was a drawing of our family holding hands beneath a giant yellow sun. Above Ethan's stick figure, Lily had written in shaky letters, "My daddy is my hero." The moment he read those words, his lips trembled. His eyes filled instantly. Then tears slipped down his face before he could stop them. Lily blinked in confusion. "Daddy?" He tried smiling. But another tear escaped. Then another. And suddenly our daughter looked at me with worried little eyes. "Mommy, why is Daddy crying?" The room became unbearably quiet. Ethan lowered his head. I searched desperately for an answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know. Not really. Not yet. That afternoon, Ethan said he needed some air. He kissed Lily on the forehead and left for a walk. The moment the front door closed, Lily climbed beside me on the couch. Did I do something bad? My heart shattered. No, baby. Absolutely not. Then why was Daddy sad? I pulled her into my arms. Sometimes grown-ups cry because they feel too much love at once. She thought about that carefully. Love can hurt? I swallowed hard. Yes, I whispered. Sometimes. When Ethan returned hours later, his eyes were red again. But this time he looked calmer. Like someone who had finally decided to stop running from something. That night after Lily fell asleep, he sat beside me on the porch. For a long time neither of us spoke. Then finally he whispered. There's something I never told you. Every nerve in my body tightened. He stared into the darkness ahead. When I was 8 years old, my father left on Father's Day. I frowned softly. You told me he abandoned your family. I never told you when. His voice cracked. He promised he'd come to my school picnic that morning. I waited for hours. Ethan laughed bitterly. I remember pretending not to care while other kids sat on their father's shoulders. I reached for his hand. He continued quietly. That night, my mom told me he wasn't coming back. The pain in his voice felt fresh. Raw. Like the wound had never healed. I spent years believing it was my fault, he admitted. My chest tightened. Ethan. He used to tell me I cried too much. That I was weak. He stared downward. So when Lily called me her hero today, his voice broke completely. I realized I've spent my whole life terrified of becoming him. Tears filled my own eyes. Oh, Ethan. I don't know how to be the father she deserves. I moved closer immediately. She already thinks you are. He shook his head. You don't understand. Then he whispered the sentence that destroyed me. Every time she loves me. I'm scared she'll eventually see I'm broken. That night I held him while he cried harder than I'd ever seen before. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just years of buried pain finally escaping. And for the first time, I understood something important. The strongest people are often the ones carrying invisible wounds. Over the following weeks, things changed slowly. Ethan started opening up more. Not all at once. Just little pieces. He told me how his father used to disappear for days before finally leaving forever. How his mother worked 3 jobs to survive. How every Father's Day became a reminder of abandonment instead of love. I hated those commercials showing perfect families, he confessed once. I used to think good fathers only existed in movies. But Lily changed him. She loved him without conditions. Without fear. Without knowing how damaged he believed himself to be. And children have a way of healing people accidentally. One rainy evening, Lily fell asleep on Ethan's chest while watching cartoons. I stood quietly in the doorway, watching him brush hair away from her face. She trusts me completely, he whispered. Yes. He looked at me with tears in his eyes again. I never had that with anyone. I walked over and kissed his forehead. You do now. Months later, Ethan decided to visit his mother. He hadn't seen her in years. I think I need to stop running from the past, he told me. So we drove together 3 hours to the tiny town where he grew up. His mother cried the moment she saw Lily. She has your eyes, she told Ethan softly. That visit healed something inside him. We looked through old photo albums. We listened to stories. And late that night, his mother finally revealed something Ethan never knew. Your father came back once, she said quietly. Ethan froze. What? It was years later. After you graduated high school. His expression hardened instantly. You told him to leave? She nodded slowly. I was afraid he'd hurt you again. Ethan sat silently for a long time. Then he asked the question that had clearly haunted him for decades. Did he ever love me? His mother began crying. Oh, Ethan. He loved you deeply. He was just too damaged to know how to stay. The room fell silent. And I watched my husband realize something life-changing. Sometimes people hurt us not because we are unlovable, but because they are drowning in their own pain. On the drive home, Ethan held Lily's tiny hand in the back seat. She was asleep again. I wasted so many years hating myself, he whispered. I squeezed his hand gently. You survived. He nodded slowly. Then he smiled. But I want more than survival now. The next Father's Day felt different. Lighter. Healthier. Happier. Lily was 6 now and even more dramatic than before. She decorated the house with terrible handmade banners and demanded everyone wear paper crowns. Ethan laughed more that morning than I'd seen in years. During breakfast, Lily handed him another card. Inside it read, "My daddy is my safe place." Ethan looked at her quietly. Then at me. His eyes filled again. But this time the tears were different. Not grief. Not fear. Healing. He pulled Lily into his arms. Thank you, he whispered. For what? She asked. For teaching me what a father really is. She giggled. You're silly, Daddy. Maybe he was. But in that moment, I realized something beautiful. Love doesn't erase old scars. It teaches us we are still worthy despite them. Later that night, after Lily fell asleep surrounded by balloons and candy wrappers, Ethan sat beside me on the porch again. Exactly where he had confessed everything 1 year earlier. I used to think crying made me weak, he admitted. I smiled softly. And now? He looked through the window toward Lily's room. Now I think it means something mattered enough to break your heart open. I leaned against his shoulder. You know what she'll remember when she grows up? What? She'll remember a father who loved her so much he cried. Ethan smiled quietly. And for once, he didn't try hiding the tears. Redheart, if this emotional story touched your heart, don't forget to like, thumbs up, comment, speech balloon, share Redheart. Subscribe bell for more emotional real-life love stories filled with kindness, healing, and unforgettable endings.